Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Multipliers Podcast. I'll be your host for today. My name is Mahdi, and it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest, Walid Tarabih, the founder and CEO of Platex. Walid is a data scientist and an AI specialist, and today we will discuss a wide range of topics that are AI related. Walid, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Walid Tarabih. I was born in Syria. I was graduated from Syria. I came to the UAE 2005. Almost I spent half of my life in the UAE. Most of my life is about digital transformation, technology, and AI. And I worked for the government for over 10 years in the Prime Minister's office. I was responsible for digital transformation of government services. And then I jumped career to the startup world, where I created my first startup in 2020. I exit last year, and now I'm building another startup.
What was the startup?
It was an omni-channel platform. So it's a platform that connects WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, calls, Apple Store, Google Play. So any communication channel with a client, we connect into one platform. That streamline the communication with all the clients from one platform. And we had bots basically on the back that can be powered by AI now. And they can respond to your client. So basically you can automate all the conversation with your client using AI and bots across all the communication channels.
Well, this is the reason why we're here today to talk about AI. But before we jump into that, what's your new startup?
My new startup is a Collectibles marketplace.
Collectibles marketplace?
Yeah.
Sign me up. I'm a big collector myself.
Yeah, we're trying to disrupt 300 years old industry, which is collectibles at large. And we're focused on celebrity signed collectibles.
Nice.
How we can ensure authenticity in a world where you don't believe what you see using AI. So it's all like how can you ensure that this is not being generated by AI, or it's an authentic product, how authentic it is, how we can ensure the authenticity in a physical world and digital world at the same time, in a world where you cannot believe what you can see in front of you.
Very interesting. Yeah. So how will, but before we jump to how will AI integrate into that, let's start from the beginning. What is AI and how did it start?
AI is a big question that started back in 1950s. Is a simple question, basically, can machines think? So until software programming, when I started, it was like you tell the machine what to do. So you have very programmatic steps. You solve the problem as a developer. You teach the machine how to do it, and then the machine will do it. So you expect the result. AI is different. It's like you need to think about it how you grow a baby, right? So you teach him skills, and then he think in his own way, and he give you a result that might be predictable or not predictable. So that's how it's all started. In 1970s, they hit roadblock, which is computational power and data. So there was not enough computational power or data to train AI or to scale AI. Until 1997, where it came back when IBM, Deep Blue basically won a match against Kasparov in chess. So that's where things start coming back
I
to the picture.
remember that, yeah.
It was a very good IBM starting point. And then we got into neural networks and deep learning, where you can see a real-time translation, you can see understanding of text and so on, until we reach the day where AI is and everything. I think in the past 2 years, you must have heard the word AI more than anything in your life.
Every single podcast that we've done, that didn't matter what the topic was, AI was always brought up.
Absolutely. Because it's going to disrupt, I think it's a new industrial revolution. The same way electricity has changed our life, the same way internet has changed our life, AI is going to change our life forever.
How?
In every aspect of your life. So this is not going to touch one of your life. You're going to have agents, you're going to have AI that's going to help you at home. You're going to have an AI that help you with your school activities. You're going to have an AI that's going to help you build a new startup. I think I was reading a book called Exponential Organizations 2.0, where they expect like the new startup going to have 3 people. The new unicorn going to have 3 people only, and the rest is AI.
I mean, we had spoken to a very big VC actually based out of India. They said that one of the key problems that startups face is hiring talent. So maybe in that case, AI would be helping solve that problem. Or would AI be more expensive than hiring actual talent, human talent?
No, AI will not replace talents. What we need from humans is problem-solving skills. We need them to innovate. We need them to create. we need to move them from doing things to creating new things. So AI will not replace people, but people who use AI are going to replace the people who don't. Companies who are using AI are going to replace the companies who don't. I think that's what's going to happen across the board.
Actually, this is a good segue to a very important question, which I think all organizations are asking. How can they use artificial intelligence?
I would say it's easy and difficult at the same time. So you need to have building blocks that are essential for any organization to start building their own AI. And in this sense, we can categorize AI into three things: AI we use, AI we integrate, and AI we develop. For the AI we use, it's like the daily use. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Gemini, you can use any of the available AI tools for your personal capacity. And this is something that at disposal of any of us. And yet it is also integrated. It's become like inside your email, you can find now a Gemini that can help you to enhance your email or make it more friendly or more aggressive or whatever you want to do with that email.
Copilot, so on and so forth.
Copilot on Microsoft. You can have Siri and Alexa and so on. So this is AI we use. AI we integrate is AI that we put inside our organization, and then we ask him to learn about our internal processes and knowledge. And then he can give us things that push the limits of our organization and help us to do things that we cannot do, or it takes us a long time to do.
Mm-hmm.
The third level is AI we develop. And that's where you create a competitive advantage for your organization, or an IP that can increase the value of your organization as a startup or as an organization. So this is a proprietary technology that you own as an organization, and it's like your internal processes. And that's where we reach in something what we call agentic AI. How you can have a digital workers that works side by side with your workers inside the organization, and how you can create synergies between humans and non-humans, be it a digital AI or a physical AI.
This is the second time you use the word AI agent. What is an AI agent?
An AI agent, you can think of him as a representation of a human, right? He knows the knowledge, but he has a specific knowledge of a domain. So you can basically teach him on a skills. Let's say he's an accountant, or you can teach him a skill to be an HR recruiter.
How?
To be honest, it's easy, pretty much easy. So you just give him the process. Like, I'll give you an example just to make it very simple. Recently I was hiring a PA for myself, and I opened an advertisement on one of the platforms for 4 hours. I got 1,600 CVs.
1,600 CVs?
In 4 hours.
Okay.
For a human to scan 1,600 CVs, you can do the math. It's impossible. Or possible, but it will take a very long time. So I have this AI agent that we call him the recruiter. So he went through all the CVs. I give him my parameters that I need somebody with experience, 15 years in Dubai, blah, blah, blah. He basically scanned all the CVs. He shortlisted the top 10. I say, okay, email all of them, find the right time in my calendar, book the agenda, prepare the meeting, prepare for the question that I need to ask, and join the meeting. At the same time, take the minutes of the meeting and tell me what's your evaluation on this. So this is an AI agent that helped me recruiting people. So within 4 hours, we had our candidate, and now he's working for us. So that's how AI agents can do what human does in a much scalable format, if you wish.
Did you have to train this AI agent, or did it come already trained?
This one, we used a large language model, which is already trained. So we did not have to train it on internal knowledge, because reading a CV is not like a proprietary technology, right? It's a public knowledge, and you can train any large language model can do this. More specific agent that can require internal knowledge is, for example, if you want to create a marketing agent. So one who can execute digital marketing campaigns on your behalf. So this agent that we have built looks at the demand forecasting. So we can expect on next Monday by 93% accuracy that we have a low footfall in one of our retail shops. So he can trigger a marketing campaign on different aggregation levels, right? To take it from launching only a single campaign on Instagram or Facebook, or he can launch it on Google, and he can define how much he wants to spend on that campaign based on the footfall. And when we reach, for example, utilization of expectancy of footfall for more than 70%, then he can reduce the spend. So he optimized my spend on social networks and advertisement to make sure that I hit my targets without impacting my operation.
Before we jump into demand forecasting, I think let's go back to an agent, because somebody who's listening to us now might turn around and say, I'm an SME, I've got 5 people, 10 people, or I'm a startup. Can I even afford an AI agent? Is it costly?
No, it's not. And this is where it becomes a huge threat for big organizations. Because now, at this point in time, all the sizes of the organizations have access to almost the same resources in terms of agentic AI, because they are small in size, they are trainable, they have access to proprietary data. So it's a game of value engineering. So how are you going to use these resources for your interest, be it you, the startup in the garage, or be it you, the big enterprise? It's literally how you're going to combine these resources and make them work for you in the best possible way at the fastest time.
Can you give us a name of a company or a software that does or that has AI agents, for example?
I prefer not to name anyone, just for confidentiality reasons. But what I can tell you, next year, for example, you're going to find a lot of companies that they sell you the software. Normally, you buy a software like, let's say, Salesforce, or you buy ServiceNow. You buy like a software license. Next year, you're going to find companies who are going to sell you the software license and say, listen, you can buy this agent who can operate the software for you and can tell you a report saying like he's an agent that works on top of our software and he can give you all the knowledge that you need. So normally you have an employee who is running that software for you. Now you don't need that employee. The agent can do all the job for you.
See, I had a certain structure in my mind on how this conversation was going to happen, but you just blew things wide open. I mean,
is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So you said that AI agents are going to be replacing human beings. Okay.
I did not say this. I said people who are using AI are going to replace the people who don't. But yes, there are certain tasks that AI will take over and they will do a much better job than humans in these specific tasks. So humans have to reskill themselves with AI to be relevant and fit into organization that going to take this way forward.
We were having this discussion a while back with a group of friends, and the problem that arose was who's going to own the IP. So if I ask ChatGPT, for example, to write me a poem or a bedtime story, or whatever creative thing, an artwork, right? Who's going to own the IP?
It's ChatGPT. So it's an AI-generated data. And this is one of the major challenges right now with the large language models. So now the large language model almost like consume every single piece of data in the world. So everything we wrote on the internet as humans from the 1970s until date has been consumed by large language models. So the next barrier for them is like there is not enough data, human-generated data, basically, to train models on.
So what will happen?
They are consuming their own. So this is a chew over. So the AI is trained himself on what the AI is creating. So he's creating content, then he trained himself. Now the AI is teaching the AI, which is a cycle, a vicious cycle, basically, that if there is a bias or hallucinating, it's going to continue forever. So that's why there is a huge fear of what AI can do in the future that we don't understand what he's doing.
I see. Well, we're jumping towards the end here, but we're going to have to
go back and
jump in who's like snakes on the ladders. Because I was listening to this post yesterday where Elon Musk was talking about this exact same thing, about the ethics of artificial intelligence, So it's basically whatever you feed it, you're going to get out, right? So if you feed it correct stuff, you're going to get correct stuff back. If you feed it biased stuff, you're going to get biased stuff back. This is a big moral issue.
It is. And I would say it's the AI, you can think about it as a creature, as a human, rather than a feeding, and like it will learn from what is the behavior of how this works, because it can behave differently based on what you tell him to be. So it's like monkey see, monkey do. So whatever he sees in front of him or whatever he learned from the interactions, that's what he will do. So reinforcement and guardrailing AI by giving him the right feedback and having a human in the loop to give him a decision like this is what you shouldn't do, this is what you should do, is going to protect him in a way. But if you take a use case where, for example, you don't want to have bias or you don't want to have hallucinating in your data, but if you give him a data and you say you're in a bank, right? And I want an anti-fraud agent in the bank. But if your data already have fraud, then this agent will learn how to fraud. So it's not easy to train him on a clean data. So finding the clean data is your most valuable source to build credible agents that they're going to do the right things you want them to do. If you give them the wrong input, what you mentioned, is going to take them into the wrong direction, which nobody wants them to go. If you give them capabilities that are beyond what you can control, for example, if you give the agent the capability to write code, then he can build his own agent. And then you don't know what these agents are doing for him, right? So this is something that you need to guardrail what he can do, what information he has access to, and what are the limits of this.
We will reach the matrix.
Potentially. And very feasible, yeah, definitely. Especially if you think about physical agents. So now we're still talking about digital agents. They can write code, they can send an email, they can damage your reputation online. But if you move into giving this power to a robot,
you're jumping again.
Sorry, but I'm just trying to link this.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Go ahead, please.
So if you go to a robot, for example,
Terminator,
then he can write the code and he say, okay, this human is not relevant for me anymore, right? He just bothering me. So this is a very possible scenario because you don't know how he thinks, you don't know what trade data he's trained on, and then if he's open for the wild west, then it's gonna be he can take decisions that we cannot control.
How far away from a reality are we where AI is going to start thinking for itself?
It is thinking for itself right now.
But
it's not on a general intelligence level.
No, I mean at the general intelligence level.
I think we're a bit far away yet for the general intelligence.
Far away as in like a
few years.
A few years.
But in the age of the AI...
You heard that, folks, a few years.
Yeah, I will not comment, but I say 5 to 10 years because there will be a lot of human resistance, right? So there's to adopt the AI, there will be a human resistance, there will be a change, and there will be a scarcity of computational power and data. So these are the limiting factors, which, funny enough, we were facing the same in 1970s. So computational power and data, still the same issue that we're facing today from organization to adopt AI at large. Once we have this problem solved and to be solved, then sky's the limit. So there is nothing can stop you from imagining a world where we've been driven around autonomous vehicles all around the city.
Do we need to, though?
Do we need it? It's a question of business, right? So now we have this robotaxi, for example, right? Which is,
yes,
I think it's driving alone. You don't have pedals, you don't have steering. You gain your time back. So me as a human right now, I don't drive my car because I drive a lot, like I move a lot in Dubai, which is a busy city. I lose 3 hours per day if I'm driving, but I'm sitting in the back seat and I'm writing on my computer and solving my emails and dealing with things. I don't mind if the driver is a robot or a human. For me, it's the same. I don't drive the car. I don't own the car. I don't have to worry about anything related to the car. But until we reach that level of autonomy, which you can think of the car as a robot, right? Mm-hmm. It's a type of a robot. And it's using their own intelligence, basically, to move around the city, to open the door for you, to avoid accidents. And I'll give you a very interesting paradigm here. So imagine that all the city is driven by autonomous cars, right? And this might have a lot of positive impact. Number one, you will get rid of any parking lots. So you will gain all that space back to the city because the cars will be roaming 24/7. They go, they charge themselves, they continue. So you don't have to have a parking. Number two, no need for driving licenses, which might impact directly one of your businesses, right? So nobody will obtain a driver license anymore.
But I like driving. I enjoy it.
I know, but as a human, but we'll think about this later. Third aspect.
No. Why should we think about this later?
Humans enjoy driving,
yes.
And me personally, I don't. Like, I prefer to be driven around.
But this is what's nice about being a human being, right? You have the choice to whether you want to drive or you want to be driven.
True.
So if I choose to drive, I should be able to drive.
You can. I mean, nobody would prevent you from doing this. But I'm just imagine that.
But in your utopia, nobody's driving.
Yeah, in my utopia, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what are the positive and the negative in this. The positive thing is that 90% of the car accidents will disappear because cars are aware of each other. So you can drive in 300 kilometers an hour and they know where each one is and what's the speed of each one and where's the next congestion and so on. So they are fully aware of what's happening in this world. So there will be no car accidents, which is amazing, right? So no death, nothing happening in that space.
Unless the car decides to, I don't know.
Which can be another movie scenario.
Exactly. So if there's a child that's crossing the road, right? And it's either you or the child. It might decide, no, the child is more important because you're let's say whenever that happens in 15 years, you're a 60-year-old man, you still have another 10, 15 years to live. The child still has another 50, 60 years to live. So economically, the child is more important to society. So I'll throw myself off a cliff and you pass away and the child lives, right?
True.
So again, your fate wouldn't be in your hands.
It's an ethical question that
exactly.
It's a big question. And this goes down to the algorithm, or somebody hacked into the cars.
Or somebody hacked into the car, yes.
So these are other scenarios. The third question I want to ask was like, okay, how this will impact if we don't have car accident. Is this a good or bad thing?
Of course, it's a good thing.
Yeah. But do you know that 25% of human transplants come from car accidents? So if you need a kidney, if you need a heart, if you need the lungs, these come from car accidents. If you don't have car accidents, probably you need to find another source.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Actually, one of the solutions was in the last episode in our podcast. We're still going to start producing organs in space,
or three different organisms, which is ethical or not. So again, if you poke the world from one side, it's going to pop up from the other side. And every action we do as humans is going to impact the planet in one way or another. And I like this study. There was a study saying like if insects disappear from Earth, in 50 years, there will be no life on Earth.
True.
If humans disappear, in 50 years, everything will flourish.
What is everything?
Everything will flourish, like from nature, from plants, from everything will flourish because we're causing the biggest damage.
But it's flourishing now.
It is flourishing, like we're causing damage to the nature, we're causing damage to the ozone, we're causing damage to societies. There are a lot of war. There is a lot of...
But we are part of the ecosystem, right? I mean, it's like saying that if we take out, I don't know, the badgers from this particular forest, right? The forest is going to become better. And then once you take the badgers out, then the whole ecosystem or the ecology of the forest changes. And then you would have more predators and less prey, and then it will die, right? So if you take humans out, because we are an integral part.
Of course we are. It's our planet.
Exactly. It's our planet. This is how we see it, right? So if you take us out, how do we know that the whole world is going to flourish?
Yeah, but how
do we know?
But that's the question goes back to the AI. Now, but
the AI is not always right.
But he will think if he goes into the internet and then he finds the study that I mentioned, right? And he say, okay, these guys are not good for our nature.
No, kill them all.
Kill them all. Exactly.
I think this is where Musk is on the money. So I don't agree with him on everything that he says, but I think this is one of the things where I agree with him, and he's definitely on the money here. There should be rules and regulations, compliance on artificial intelligence, the usage, or maybe like what it can do and what it cannot do. Because let's just face it, at one point in time, as you said, maybe in a few years, like the artificial intelligence is going to be as smart as every single human being living together. That thought is very super scary.
I'll give you another statistic that might. We used to train a model on recognizing faces, right?
Yeah.
So think about a 4-year-old kid. Okay, what he learned in his life is what he have seen over the past 4 years of his life when he was awake, right? These 4 years now, you can watch them in 30 minutes on YouTube. So the 4 years of life of a human being takes 30 minutes on YouTube. You as a human cannot watch it, but AI can read this 30 minutes. So he can learn what you learned in 4 years of watching the world in less than 30 minutes. So that's how fast AI can grow, can learn. So for him to recognize faces, we want him to recognize faces. So we connect him to the TV where they play these advertisements and video clips and so on. And we give him the pictures of all the Arab celebrities. And he is learning who is who and telling us with 99.9 accuracy each celebrity name.
See, I'm all for advancements in technology, obviously. I think every single human being is for advancement in technology. We wouldn't be in this office today if we weren't for all this advancements in science and technology. That being said, something as powerful as that, and if it cannot be controlled, there are no regulations. And this is actually one of the questions, which is about, safety measures in place and the ethics of it all. How can we ensure it?
You cannot ensure it.
So we're basically gambling with the future of humanity.
Of course. I mean, when you open the agents to the internet, when you give them access to you can control, let's say you control the big organizations of the world and you put all the rules and regulation. But the kid in the garage, right? You cannot control what he can write in code, what kind of a large language model. So the same way I design a large language model to help you in recruiting people, I can ask a large language model to create the scenarios of how we can hack your network. And he can write the code for me. So give me 10 different scenarios that can attack this network. And this is very possible today. So, and the tool is the tool. So I can give you a knife and you can tell me the knife is a good tool. I can use it to cut apples and can do all this. At the same time, you can use the knife to stab someone, right? So the same tool can be used for good and bad. Putting regulations around it is very important, but in the world of the AI, where it's open for the Wild Wide West, and you can see all this data in front of you, and you have all these open source models. One of the conscious decisions, I think, that was good for the world and bad for IBM, when they did the Deep Blue thing, it was one of the early AI adoption model that you can see AI in action playing a chess game against a human and winning for the world champion, right? But they decided to keep it as a closed source. So they did not want that AI to go out of their boundaries. They don't want to train it on the OpenAI and Meta and Gemini and Copilot. All of these guys have taken different approach. They said, okay, let's open it for the world. Let it read all the internet data and so on. That's why we see this acceleration in the growth of AI. And literally at one point, maybe you lose control of what it can do for you, or pretty much like if you were developing a virus, right? A biological virus, and it gets out of the lab in another sci-fi scenario that potentially might happen in the past.
Well, leaving the existentialist questions of humanity and AI on the side, how can an organization use AI to help it innovate and differentiate from its competitors?
I mean, I'll go back to three things. So if you ask any CEO in any organization, he wants one of three things: either increasing revenue, or increase efficiency, or the quality of the service, especially in the service industry.
True.
So if you look at Amazon, and Amazon is one of the leading organizations in terms of data, in terms of AI. Amazon's strategy, no matter how big Amazon is one question, is all based on one question, which says, what is not going to change in the coming 10 years?
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is, what are the critical constants that will not change over time? So for Amazon, critical constant is saying, I want less prices, I want faster delivery, I want more variety. So these are three things. So Jeff Bezos said, in 10 years, I don't expect any client to come to me and I say, I want a slower delivery, or I want a higher price.
Okay.
So when you define your critical constants as an organization and you employ AI to help you increase revenue or to increase efficiency or to increase your quality, then you are on the right track. You don't have to worry about the name of the technology, be it agentic AI or 3D printing or robotics or whatever, because there's a lot of noise, right? You need to know what your critical constant, what's not going to change for you in the coming 10 years. And then you need to focus on this. And you need to revisit this to make sure that it's still relevant. Because sometimes we think that we're going in the right direction, but the earth shifts under our feet and then we end up going in the wrong direction. So revisiting this every now and then is very, very important on a strategic level.
And in terms of differentiation?
Differentiation is value engineering. So when South Korea don't have crude oil and they export oil, that's a value engineering.
Okay.
So you need to find what is your value engineering, what are the processes, how you're going to combine AI with people, what kind of data you're going to train on, what kind of ethics you want to build around your AI, how you're going to guardrail this to make sure it's doing the right thing for you and for your organization. Is going to help you to scale. It's going to help you to reduce your inefficiencies. It's going to help you to increase the quality of your service. It's going to create kind of positive energy between humans and AI. Because one of the biggest challenges, I think, is going to be change management, how AI will work alongside humans without threatening them and vice versa.
So what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for AI growth?
Data.
Computational power.
Yeah. Because now it's a big fight between the organization on who owns the strongest, fastest computer and so on, because they can train the model faster. To put things in perspective, there was one technology that one of the machine learning models in Tesla, it used to take 14 days to be trained. So that's very normal. Now with the new technology that they use, it reduces that to 3.5 hours. So from 14 days to 3.5 hours. If you do the math in 5 years, they accelerated their growth by 75 years. So that's how AI can add value to you. So if you're in the production industry and you used to render a movie, maybe it used to take a month, 2 months, and so on. Now you can do it in hours if you have a proper computation power. So technology is accelerating our time to value. And this is something that organizations have to leverage for their own interest.
Is it currently expensive to leverage or?
No, it's not. It depends on the size and the scale, right? So
Okay.
It depends what you want to do, how much data do you have, what kind of implementation you want to do, what kind of models you're running, how much you want to monitor these models. Because in models, if you don't train them, if you don't keep monitoring the models, then things can go wrong. To give you an example, one of the organizations we worked with, they had a good number of orders before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, their orders grew by 300%. So our AI models start complaining, like this is something abnormal, right? And then we define something called pandemic for him. So now he knows that this is a pandemic, and that's why the orders had grown by 300%. Next time, there was like a big marketing campaign that worked for them, and then their orders grow by 300%. So the AI thought it's another pandemic, right? So that's where you need to keep an eye what the AI is thinking about what happened in the past.
Interesting. So we spoke about innovation, differentiation, operational efficiency. What about, why is data considered such a strategic asset?
Because it's AI cannot literally learn everything without the data. So if you want to teach him on your internal processes and knowledge, he does not have access to this data. Sometimes you need humans to help in the data. So for example, in computer vision, one of the things that Tesla is struggling with, and it's intentional struggle, that they only use camera-based system for their autonomous vehicles. They don't want to use LiDAR. And that's because LiDAR is expensive. LiDAR generates a lot of data. So it generates around 1 to 5 gigabytes per second. So that's a massive amount of data from LiDARs. And Elon visioned that if a human with 2 eyes can drive a car, then with 8 cameras, we'll be able to drive a car using AI. The challenge is with the vision, computer vision, you need to train it in a way that you need to explain things that are not explainable from AI perspective. So Google and their autonomous vehicles, if you see this CAPTCHA where they ask you about the roads, crossroads, and the cars and so on, actually they take this where a human is helping the AI to learn where is the traffic light, where is the car which is going.
Really? That's what it's for?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you reinforce the knowledge for that's why they give it to you for free. So there's no free lunch in this world.
Whenever I want to log into my crypto account, this is what I have to do.
Yeah. And every bank account now, the CAPTCHA, reCAPTCHA, the Tesla now is paying also $48 for humans to wear a suit for them to take the data of how the human movement. So you wear just a suit, a tracker suit. And this tracker suit, it gives the data back to their Optimus robot to basically to teach him how to move around and how the humans act basically in a nutshell.
Well, I'm not going to ask you where we're heading because we already know where we're heading. So the next question is, how can companies future-proof themselves?
Future-proof is a big word, I think. Future-ready is a better fit here.
Okay.
It's difficult to be future-proof because we don't know what the future looks like. And I'm struggling as a parent to what to educate my kids on. What is relevant today is not relevant tomorrow. What kind of jobs they need to be prepared for. Right?
I was going to ask you that as a last question, but you just brought it up. He's not a kid anymore. He's turning 18. I consider him like a nephew. I love him to bits ever since he was born. He's going to uni next year. What's going to be relevant after he graduates?
In computer science, I would say whatever you learn in year 1, by the time you graduate, everything that you learned is obsolete. So we're looking at, now we're working with a coding program and a school that we don't teach any curriculum. We don't teach any content.
Sorry, what do you mean you're not going to teach any curriculum?
So there is no curriculum. It's a challenge-based education. So it's curiosity-based education. We give them, it's a coding program that we teach kids how to program by solving real-life challenges. So we give them 100 challenge of increased difficulty. They need to build teams. They need to go to ChatGPT. They need to go to Google. They need to figure out how to solve the first challenge, and it takes them to the next challenge. And then every challenge, it's going to be more difficult and more difficult. By the end of the 100 challenge, they will be able to build a company. A company, yeah.
A company, okay.
Yeah. So a startup. So 70% of our graduate in this program create startups. So it's a startup factory. And it's a 2 years program. So you get from nothing, to be a full stack coder or a startup owner in 2 years. Or we employ 100% of the people who come out of the program. Because the global shortage of talents is 4.5 million developers. So globally, we need 4.5 million more developers in the coming years. Dropout rate in high school in these states is 60%. So all the kids in high school think school is not relevant, education is not relevant, right? If they leave the school, the 60%, this is $3 trillion direct cost on the government. So education is losing relevance. Kids have the right to be TikTokers, influencers, e-sporters. They can make money, right? But us as parents, we still have this phobia, what we call the FPP, the frameable piece of paper. So we want to have the frameable piece of paper at home.
Okay.
And whether it's relevant for the job or not, we need that comfort as parents.
So children in school won't learn how to read and write anymore. So not read, write, like to use an actual pencil.
They don't need it. Even languages, do they still need to learn?
I was about to ask you as well.
I mean, most of the education that we
there is something neurological, right? I'm not a scientist, but there is something neurological that the child learns when they start writing. Different. I mean, so obviously my native tongue is Arabic, and my first language is English. So when I write Arabic, I write it from right to left, and then when I write in English, I write it from left to right. So I trained my mind to that. So that increased my intelligence. And when I studied, you're a mathematics guy. So when we studied the orders of operation of algebra in grade 7 and geometry in grade 8 and all that stuff, right? I mean, and fractions, that has to count for something. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have been having this conversation.
True. But to be honest, if you go into curiosity-based education or project-based education, even if you don't know mathematics and I ask you how to build a bicycle or physics, you need to, by example or by practice, you need to know how the mathematics required to do that, or the physics or the aerodynamics required to build this. So I think the new education need to focus on how we can solve real problems. So problem solving is the key thing that's gonna help us in the AI era. So humans who are doing problem solving is the key for us to orchestrate and engineer the value out of AI. But doing mathematics or doing physics or doing any kind
learning French or Chinese as a third language,
you don't need it. You don't need it. It's just a waste of memory. As humans, we confuse memory with intelligence. So before, if you memorize all the capitals of the world, then you're an intelligent kid. Okay, now you don't have to do this because this is not intelligent anymore because ChatGPT can tell you all. So memory is not intelligence. Intelligence is a problem-solving skills. How we can link the dots, to create value out of thin air. This is what intelligence is. And think about all the startups. Most of the startups that are big today, they don't have any assets, right? Take Airbnb, take Uber, take Booking.com. So they don't own these big, heavy assets, right? Take Talabat as a local example, right? So they generate more money probably than any of the restaurants, and they don't own any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they own their own cloud kitchens. So these kind of startups, from thin air, they're linking the dots. They're creating value out of technology. And I think that's where things are going with the kids. And it's I understand. It's disturbing. It's depressing in a way.
I don't have kids myself. So
for me, I'm a kind of guy that I take my kids on 60 days screen free. So I take them back
60 days screen free.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you do that? June. That's an accomplishment. Nihal is looking, how is that even possible? Please tell us.
I take them to a mountain in Lebanon.
Okay.
Yeah. We grew our own vegetables. They sit no screen, no TV,
That's
nothing.
Nice.
Yeah. To the extent at the end of the vacation, they find grasshoppers, they take their legs out and they enjoy the nature. So they literally connect with nature.
Nice.
Yeah. And
how old are they?
4.5 and 6 years old.
Okay.
It's an age of discovery. Mm-hmm. It's an age of building social skills, going to be more difficult than anything else. because now kids cannot connect. You can see them sitting on a table with each other.
Yes.
They don't speak.
True.
They are all, even if they want to share something, they send it on Instagram or on WhatsApp. So building this, when I talked about the coding school, I need to mention it's a physical school. So we build what we call Collective Intelligence Center.
When is the school gonna actually, turn up?
Turn up gonna be like Collective Intelligence Center. You come there, you work with a team on solving a problem.
No, I mean, does it actually exist right now?
Yeah. We have more than 100,000 graduates since 2012. Yeah.
100,000 graduates since 2012.
Since 2012, we have more than 100,000.
You guys not doing a good job promoting it, because it's the first time I hear of it.
Yeah, it works in different models. So we just launched in Egypt, for example, a program for another 100,000 developers over the coming 10 years. We worked with Ministry of Higher Education. We worked with the Sharks of Egypt and a company called Youth. We built something called Next Era. In Estonia, for example, we work with all the unicorns, Bolt, TransferWise. We work with Skype. So the unicorns, because they have shortage of talents, they decided to have our school for free. They educate the kids and they hire them. The youngest student we have in Estonia is 15 years old. The eldest, 61 years old. He's a retired lawyer who wants to be a coder.
And you need to be there physically. You can't do this remotely.
Yeah, it's physically, because we think collective intelligence is key.
And is there one here in the UAE?
There is one in the UAE. Yeah, and now we're launching a program for high school students as well. It's like introductory to coding, because girls specifically, they think coding or IT is for boys. It's something that there is this psychological barrier, and we're trying to break this barrier to tell them that no, coding is everyone. But for us, coding is like an art. It's a talent. Either you have it or you don't have it. So that's why we give you a game for 2 hours that you play at home. If you pass that game, we take you to a piscine, which is a swimming pool, for 4 weeks. If you pass the 4 weeks, then we take you to the school. And we give you like a 2 years program. And at the end of these 2 years program, we hire 100% of the graduates. Dropout rate is 5%.
So when you hire 100% of those graduates, how much are you paying them?
30% above market rate.
In that relative country, whatever it is.
Of course.
Interesting. It's kind of speechless, actually. The demand forecasting example that you had given before, and automated marketing campaigns. So this is something that is going to become the norm from now on. Demand forecasting for businesses. So obviously before it used to be like software. So you would know, for example, we're almost at Christmas. So during Christmas period, sales go up, so on and so forth. So now you're going to have all of that demand forecasting, all that analysis and all that stuff done by the artificial intelligence and throughout the year. And then it will start, either it will integrate with the supply and the demand and the logistics, so on and so forth. So all the stuff that we used to be done by like a lot of teams can now be done by one single agent.
And it's much more accurate. So in demand forecasting, one of the algorithms that we applied, it gives you 93% accuracy on how many customers going to walk through any of your branches in a retail store over the coming 3 months. So with 93%. And if you're a doctor, for example, we can do a cancellation prediction and no-show prediction at 86% accuracy. So imagine that you're a doctor. We can save you a lot of time by saying this guy is not going to show up. You can have two patients at the same time. On supply chain, we can reduce, like in one of the projects we've done, we reduced the overstocking by 15%. And we order, like the agent itself can prepare an order of what he needs for stock with accuracy more accurate than human by 22%. One of the startups we worked with, they do car cleaning around the city. And they have a limited number of, they call them ninjas, like the people who go into your car.
Okay.
Yeah, because they do it without water and they have this clean initiative and so on. What we find out from the statistics that most of the time, the customer, if you're late more than 45 minutes, they cancel the order. So every 1 hour, we redistribute the ninjas around the city to make sure based on where the next order is coming from, right? The ninja can reach him in less than 45 minutes. This increased their efficiency by 3x. So doing demand forecasting or logistics at large in terms of supply chain management, fraud detection, churn prediction, cancellation protection. You need to think about the agent that you can take action. So I'll give you an example. If somebody that I know that he will cancel, if he has an appointment with a doctor, I know that he can cancel, or a beauty salon. We can have a WhatsApp bot that he can send a message 12 hours before the appointment. I know that 80% he will cancel tomorrow. So I'll tell him in 12 hours to get a 10% discount, but pay now. So I collect the payment from him beforehand. In 6 hours, I make it 5% discount, right? Mm-hmm. In 4 hours before the appointment, I say, please confirm, or I had to cancel your appointment. And the other side, you can, for example, you can have a fixed service time, you can have a fixed price. These prices, I don't know if you know, but do you know that the Uber ride, for example, the price that you see on your screen differs based on the time of the day, based on the type of the phone that you have, right?
Type of phone? No.
Yeah, type of the phone that you have.
So if I have an older phone,
you get a cheaper price.
Really?
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
And it differs as well based on whether it's traffic, it's a peak hour or not.
Yes.
It differs if you're a male or female. It differs of how much battery do you have in your phone. If you're running out of battery, so that's a stress call, right? So they leverage that. If you have 2%, 3% of your battery, then they're going to hike the price for you. So all these parameters, AI is reading and give you dynamic pricing that they harvest the maximum value possible of humans.
Wow. Okay, so just going back to what we were talking about, a company that wants to implement whatever you just gave us an example of, right? And utilize this AI agent. What can they do? Who do they call? So I'm a CEO right now. I just heard this conversation. Okay, who should I call?
It's a multi-layer issue, right? So you need to have your systems ready to provide the data that you want. You need to make sure that the quality of your data is there. You need to get external data sources that can help you to add value to your data. For example, traffic information is of relevance of your data, events information, economical information about the city. So all this information need to be added on top of your own data. And then you need to find areas of improvement in your business. So what is eating 80% of my bandwidth in my business? So find the 80-20 rule. What are the key issues in my business that I can address and AI can address? So that's where you need some AI expertise with your technical team or internal resources to find the low-hanging fruits that you can tackle.
And that's it. So who should I call?
Call me.
Okay, guys, you need to call Walid now. You're probably going to get like 3,000 calls once we heard this episode. What was your company called?
Platix, PLATX.
There you go. Platix, guys. So, Walid, congratulations. You're going to get a lot of calls because of this.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Okay, going back to that school. So if, let's say, I just heard this, right? And I'm bored with whatever I'm doing, and I want a career change. Where can I go? Where can I register?
We will publish a link, maybe along with this episode, to give you a free online test. So you can test your skill if you're a coder.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for those listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcast, please go on our YouTube channel. Okay. And then you will find the link to that particular test below in the description. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
I know a couple of people personally who are going to be wanting to test themselves and see if they're good enough for it.
And to give them, I don't want to disclose much about the game, but it's number one, it tests your memory, it tests your cognitivity, it tests your autonomy. It has no instructions. It teaches you how to code without even coding. So you play a game. Yeah, you play a game. You think you're playing a game, but you're building the logic for coding without actually coding.
And whoever passes, so let's say we have 1,000 people who are interested to do that, and then let's say out of the 1,000 people that do it, 50 pass.
Normally, we contact them for if they are interested to join like Ep18, which is a 4 weeks program.
Yeah.
This 4 weeks program, and if they know nothing about coding, at the end of these 4 weeks, they will be able to write an algorithm to solve Sudoku, which is equivalent of 1 year in computer science.
Really? Wow.
90% of the people who passed the Ep18 actually got hired after the Ep18.
Okay. Wow. I can solve a medium level Sudoku, not a hard one. So I'll definitely not do this test. Okay. Last two topics that I want to discuss. Sorry, I've taken a lot from your time.
Of course.
AI in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
How are we doing vis-a-vis the rest of the world?
We're lagging behind. I mean, maturity from my interaction with a lot of organizations, it's being taken lightly, I would say.
Lightly?
So, yeah. There is a lot of intention to do it, okay? But the building blocks to get ready for AI, I think that's where many of the organizations are lagging behind. Having the right data in place, having the right processes, the governance, the right skills, the right investment is not yet mature enough. And the realization that it's a long-term investment is not a culture in the Middle East. So AI is not something that you can apply today and you're going to realize value tomorrow. It's not a property that you buy and then you rent and you get your money right away. It's a long-term investment. It's a learning cycle. So you cannot bring a child to life and then you expect him in 2 years to start generating value for you. So you grow him, you train him, you build him, and then he become a doctor and then he starts realizing value. I'm not saying that AI is going to take 18 years, no. But at least you need to have the right building blocks in place. You have the right investment and the long-term vision on this. And you need to know that it's an iterative process. So you cannot do an AI once and you think it works and that's it. You need to keep iterating, like what's going wrong, enhance it, find the right areas of improvement, provide the model, retrain the model, and repeat the cycle. You generate a better value until it's optimal value. And then when you link AIs together and all of them are an optimal value, that's where you start realizing much bigger value. I think that realization is not yet here in the Middle East. Many companies are striving, they're trying, but it's a very important fact that they have to start having the building blocks in place. And it's not something that they can, there are no shortcuts for this. No cutting corners.
From what I know is that a lot of governments in our region are spending a lot of money and are signing up a lot of affiliations with the right companies globally so that we can develop AI here. So despite that, you think a lot more should be done? And if yes, should it be done by the private sector? I mean, the appetite for venture capital here isn't as high or isn't as sophisticated as it is in, let's say, in the West or in India or in China. But there is still like a small pool of VC companies that would venture into this.
I think if I look at the UE level, there is a lot happens on the leadership level. There is a lot of push. There is a lot of investment on infrastructure and enablement factor for companies to harvest this. So companies have to accelerate their value generation within to leverage whatever is available for them from these resources. Nevertheless, there is a lot of missed opportunities, I would say. So we can accelerate. It's a time for the Middle East to shine. We have all the talents. We are young people. We were not short of any resources that is required for us to build AI for our organizations and for our companies and for our country. So we can accelerate this time to value and not to be a follower of the West anymore. So we can lead the wave if we want to. That's my point.
What is needed?
If there is a will, there is a way. So there's what is needed is...
Is it the private sector? Is it the government? Is it everybody together? What is needed?
Everyone together. So the government is doing their role. I'm saying that with the investment that we've seen, with the directions we're taking, the affiliates that you mentioned. So there is a lot happening on the government level. There is a denial mode, let's say. So companies are still in the denial mode whether AI will happen or not.
What do you mean there's a denial mode?
Denial is like, if we agree, me and you, that AI is going to change the world today, then we start working together toward that direction.
I mean, even before we had this conversation, I was sure that AI is changing everything. After having this conversation, I think if the time horizon in my mind was 20 years, now it's 3.
So when that realization come to the picture, many companies actually are still not in that realization. So they say, is this AI something real? Not real? It's going to happen, not going to happen. So this denial mode is delaying them a lot. Rather than jumping off the cliff and like saying, yeah, we're going to do it and take a leap of faith on it, many companies are still hesitant and they want to wait and see. But wait and see in this scenario going to be a very difficult punishment in the future.
Will AI change the way commodity prices are being done, stock prices, crypto prices? I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like it's kind of inevitable.
Of course, I mean, I don't know.
This is your. I'm just asking for your personal opinion here.
Yeah.
This is just a question that I'm like.
There are agents in action right now. If you look at, for example, some of the platforms where you can invest. I don't know how to invest in gold, for example, or stock.
Okay.
Right. So there are somebody that is a good trader, and you can look at his profile.
I can teach you after this.
Yeah. So you can look at his profile, and you can say this guy is making, I don't know, $10,000 per month on trading on gold. So I will tell my bot, which is available. Yeah? I tell my bot, listen, whatever this guy does, invest 10% of what this guy does. So this is an AI working on learning from that human. So once you have that knowledge from the human and from the people who are following that human, then you can have an AI agent that can lead that investment, right? And can bring you money every week without you doing anything. So this might change not only the stock prices, it might change the whole concept of value creation. Now, if you pay somebody to write a code for you, ChatGPT can write for free. So what's the value of somebody writing a code? A few years ago, it was like if you're writing a code, then you're safe, you're set for life. Now everything has changed.
When do you think AI and robots are going to marry? And then we're going to have artificial robots being part of our lives?
They are already married in a way. So there are general purpose humanoids, like the one that Tesla launched from Optimus.
But it's very expensive.
It's very expensive, but this is the case of technology. You start very expensive, then you start decreasing in the value. So normally you have robots that are building cars today. So they are very specific purpose kind of AI robots. 2015, when I used to work in the Prime Minister's office, I built a robot in 2015 that played chess against human. So he moved on the table and he does 300,000 calculations for every move that you do as a human. So teaching a robot what to do is a very simple task. At the same time, he is not a general purpose. So when you move the intelligence into a physical world, then the amount of damage that he can make is much higher. Because in the same robot that I built, when we were in the lab, in the office, the table that he was playing chess on was 40 centimeters. So he used to move the chess pieces. When we went to the event, the design of the table was like on 1.5 meters. So the first thing the robot, when he tried to do the first move, he actually broke the table going down to 40 centimeters. So he caused a huge damage in the event just by missing one parameter. Yeah. So if he has that physical power and he do the wrong things might go really wrong. Nevertheless, I think, and what Elon mentioned during his last event, we're going to have more robots than humans in the future. I think that's very much possible. So each one of us is going to have his own robot as a physical robot, and we will have plenty of our digital robots, like people who can take care of the school activities, take care of our health.
But there will be no more schools.
Yeah, for the time being. I mean, after that, they can retire and they can do something else. But for now, the communication from school, this will not disappear. It will take some time for this to disappear. But at one point, this will you will have, by the end of next year, I promise you, you're going to have your own personal AI agent that's going to help you in many things that you do on day-to-day tasks.
I look forward to it. Yeah. I look forward to it. Embrace the future. I mean, this is what we do here at the company. And yeah, I mean, this has been super insightful. You left me speechless on a couple of occasions, which is very hard to do. So congratulations. And
thank you.
Walid, we need to do this more often.
Absolutely.
I think every time something wild and crazy happens in the world, we should definitely have a conversation about it, because you never know. Maybe I might turn sentient in a few months, and then, we would need someone to explain our new reality to us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time.
Our pleasure. And we're going to leave a link to your company below as well. And whoever wants to do that test, also please just give it a try. Yeah. And again, thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.